Hi everybody, Coach Connie here. Welcome back to another video, guys. I know it's been a minute, but I'm back. I'm going to give you guys an update. Today's video is you're suffering and you don't even know it. And so let's get on with the disclaimer. I'm not a professional. All my videos are just for entertainment purposes only. Please do not take these to heart. Excuse me. Go see a professional help, okay, if you need help. So my intention behind this video is that when you are experiencing so much chaos, lack of peace in your life, you are experiencing things that you're just like, why does this keep happening? I'm human too, okay? And you're just like curious, what is going on? Why am I feeling these things? And how can I resolve it so that way I can live a life of peace? Remember, the universal language of God is peace. So if you're not experiencing peace in your life, if you're not experiencing growth in your life, if you're not experiencing feedback that is positive and uplifting you, you are suffering. A lot of people keep it together, right? They hold it together, but that is a form of suffering. So that way, because the moment you decide to let it go, all hell breaks loose and you are in total chaos. You're totally suffering. And recently, I have finally understand what I want in my life. And this took years and years of soul searching journey, trials and errors. And I realized is that I choose growth. I choose to call myself out. I choose to relearn anything and rewire everything. And I choose to let go of ego. I choose to take ownership in my life because clearly pride did not work. But I had to literally go through trials and trials and trials and tribulations just to get here. And recently, I was faced with a situation where this identity of armor to protect myself, to keep it all together so they don't see how weak I am. And I don't want them to think that I cry all the time and that I don't know what I'm doing. I had to let it go. I decided to let it go because it wasn't helping me, it wasn't helping anything. And now I'm in this shell of trying to figure out Conde, like, who exactly told you that you had to keep it together and show up the strongest, most alpha version of yourself, Miss Independent, okay? So that way you can feel accepted. And so when you're holding it all together, you're trying to put a smile on your face, and social media is such a huge, huge play. I'm guilty of that too. You find yourself almost like nobody really knows the real you, because if they know the real you, they're gonna probably think they might run away. I've had so many cases in my life where I've been so vulnerable to people and they left. And I just got to love myself that much more. And I had to make some decisions to love and put myself first, to not have to fix and solve anything anymore. I'm tired of hurting the little girl inside me because she wanted to keep everything perfect. And I recently went through a phase in my life where it was my own doing. I desperately wanted love. I desperately wanted this ideal partner and, this delusion, just to realize that I was suffering the entire time. I was trying to not be triggered, because if I had been triggered, that means I have to let go of these identities, let go of this suffering mentality. And I just had no idea that happened until today. When you're going through the waves and the emotions of life and you're trying to hold it all together, it's not like you know what you're doing. Like, if a third person perspective, someone can see and tell you, hey, like, that's not cool. Like, I wouldn't do that. That's a wrong mindset. But for me, when you're going through it, you have no consciousness. You just have to go through it until the storm ends, and then you see what it really was. And you can't blame anybody but yourself. So I had to walk away from something that I thought was everything to me, but realizing it was my own doing. I still didn't think that I was worthy of true love, one where you don't have to beg, you don't have to cry for, you don't have to perform, one where you're seen and you're heard, one where you feel safe and pure, one where they're working with you, they're working towards something beautiful, right? And I had went to relationships to try to fill this void of being alone, being scared. I wanted to build a life with someone, and it just ended up falling apart for the sixth time. And I'm very much blunt about my journey because people aren't honest. We're not living back in the caveman days where there's only one woman. This is 2026. It is really, really interesting the way that people date these days. And I just decided to really work and heal my heart. And so here are some symptoms of you're keeping it together and you're suffering, you don't know it. One is you always put someone else's reaction before your own. And a case like this is like you could be at work and you're like, how did they think? How did they respond? How do I want them to perceive me? You now just expend your energy, right? And then you go home, you're like, how do I want my wife to see me? How do I want my kids to see me? How do I want my coworkers to see me, right? And then you go to the gym and you're like, well, I want them to think that I'm strong and stuff like that. Cause everyone at the gym should be strong. So there's so many energy, like, there's so many opportunities in your life every single moment of every single day to make the world see you as someone that you're not. That the scariest part is like, if you truly did allow God in and he saw everything of you, would God leave? And the answer is no. That was something that I had to learn was if I let God in to see this beautiful mess, this beautiful like everything about me, would he bring me my husband? Will he stay, right? Because I've had so many people leave, but the thing is that my idea of God was based on my parents, based on my environment, but that's not who God is. God isn't wishy-washy, mood swings. He changes one day and he's merciful, and the next day he's killing everybody. That's not who God is. God is constant. God is loving. And so in my last previous talking stage, I finally realized I just can't do it anymore. I can't keep up this image. That's not who I am. I'm tired of making things, creating things, fixing things, controlling things. I just let go of the wheel. And I've been in so many situations in my life, and this is my own doing, where the moment I decided to let go, everything fell apart and I was left by myself. And a lot of people hold on to things because they're afraid that they won't be anything. Well, I'm here to tell you the bravest thing you can do is let it go. If they don't fight for you, they don't fight for you. But that just means the right person will come. That just means you got a chance to redeem yourself and love yourself and find something beautiful within yourself worth fighting for. And I also another symptom isn't just, expending your energy and making someone perceive you as different, but it's the you're never satisfied. Like you're truly never fulfilled. Meaning, it doesn't matter how much you work, right? Come and go with two jobs. It doesn't matter how less you sleep or the times you showed up or the events you go to or the amount of meal preps you eat that day or the amount of check marks you check off your list to feel accomplished. You will never feel satisfied because the intention from the get go, from the beginning, you're doing all these things is to hold it all together. So that way, the world, God, won't see you as something weak. And an example of that is I worked out really hard, worked two jobs, building my AI business, right? I'm content creating, but I was originally doing it from a place of I was so alone, so afraid. I wanted someone to see me for what I could be, but was scared to let someone in. So I had this pride, this ego. And the moment I let that pride and that ego go, I felt soft and feminine again. I felt like it's not me against the world anymore. It's me with the world. When you have so much ego and pride as I've once had, okay, you feel like you have to protect yourself from something that can harm you, but it all lives in your mind. And so a great analogy is imagine you have a thorn like right here in your hand, okay? And there's two ways to grow in life, just two. It's very simple. The first one is to protect this thorn from everybody else. That means love can't get in. That means people can't hug you because it will hurt the moment they touch you. That means every single moment, every single energy, every single pinpoint, you're always thinking about protecting yourself, protecting this thorn. So the idea of God, the idea of abundance, the idea of love will never truly fit in. And for me, I was protecting the little girl that felt so damaged and so hurt, afraid that I'm too much to understand, afraid that I'm too much to handle, because if they see all of me, they will leave. That was the mask that I had to let go of today. And even if they decide to and not fight, I'm going to fight for me. because I'm worthy of that. And God will fight for me regardless. I took ownership. I admitted my wrongs. I called myself out. I did the inner work. And now it's time for me to go on. Your emotions only last 90 seconds. Everything after that is a story that you feed yourself. It's not that you need to get over the person, you just need to get over this emotion. So, my entire life, guys, everything that I've built, from my business to my lash business to all this, at one point, I was literally doing from a place of protecting this thorn. But guess what? I spent so much energy protecting myself that I had no energy to create, to live, to be in the present moment. Every relationship and friendship I attracted prior was to protect myself from them. Therefore, excuse me, I never got the best of that. I couldn't receive the best of that because I was so busy trying to protect my ego. That's one way to live life, right? Especially if you're suffering. The second thing is to take away that thorn. It might hurt in the moment. I had to have an ego death, and I realized that I want to be a girl. I don't want to be a man. That's a man's job. I don't want to have to plan and figure and decide because I've been doing that my whole life. Like from the moment I wake up to the moment I go to bed, I'm always planning, executing, making decisions, performing, putting the work, being assertive. I want to feel like I'm poured into. And I will leave anything and everything to make sure that I am. And it used to be from a place of I need to protect myself and not have them see me, but now it's like I can't keep this up. Like it's stressing me out, it's stressing my body, and I got to let go. And so I decided, to remove the thorn. But in removing the thorn, I had to let go of a relationship, situationship talking stage. I had to let go of certain food diets. Yesterday, I did a journal about giving my body space to talk to me about how it truly feels about me. And so when people are suffering and they don't know it and they're trying to hold it all together, they have a really bad coping mechanism. Maybe it's overworking at the gym, overeating, overspending, something. And it might not look like to the average person that they're suffering, but they are, because all you're doing is protecting yourself from this very thorn, afraid that if the world sees this, that it's going to reject and isolate you. And that's the agenda of darkness. That's why authenticity is really hard these days. Is the removal of the thorns, the egos, the shields, and allowing yourself to be exposed to God and to God to heal all these places. I am not perfect. I try to handle everything. I try to put a smile on my face and be this productive, independent woman who's got everything. But guess what? It was from a place of a wound that I had covered for so long, and it kept festering and it kept manifesting in different guy situations, relationships, that I was tired. I decided to finally stop suffering, and I let go of the thorns. I let go of the fears and the traumas. I don't care if I'm seen as weak. I don't care if people think I'm too soft or that you know, I don't have it all figured out or I can never amount to anything. Those are the voices in my head. And for the same people that think those, they think of themselves like that. So my mind was playing these games, trying to not let go of this ego, telling me, well, what if he hurt me? What if like what am I supposed to do to protect myself? And usually I would get mad, I would get frustrated, I would burst out, I would block people. That was my old coping mechanism, and it's still prevalent to this day, and it's something that I'm working on. But I just decided to make a conscious decision that I'm going to remove this thorn. It hurts so bad in the moment, but I just want to heal. I don't care what truth I have to tell. I will tell myself the truth. I don't care if I have to have 1,000 ego deaths. I will have 1,000 ego deaths because I'm so tired of every single day making sure this thorn that doesn't even serve me stays in place to protect what? An identity that no longer serves, that lives in my mind. That, by the way, no one in this world ever will ever know except me. That isn't bringing me anything but suffering for the fact that I have to hold it all together. So this is Conde from yesterday up until whenever she was born, right? I didn't know I had this thorn. And every year it kept accumulating, kept accumulating. I would get triggered. I would move from relationship to relationship. I would eat food. I just had a really unhealthy coping mechanism with this thorn, this deep, deep idea of being truly seen. Like, you know how scary it is to really see yourself and like, why did you do that? Like, why didn't you do better? So it's the letting go of the guilt and the shame that comes with the fact that you're not perfect. And I grew up being a woman, right? So I had to always make sure the bed is made, make sure the food is cooked, make sure I make the money, make sure I pour into people, make sure I have a job and I'm going to college. I'm doing all these things to the point where that's not even who I am. And so when I had to really peel this onion, this layer, I realized there's nothing but this scared little girl who's too afraid to be seen and who's too afraid to come out her first shell, because if she does, will she be rejected? So my whole life, this thorn, I built Coach Conde, everything around this thorn. And I attracted people because of that. And for the first time in my life, I realized I'm okay with starting over again. I'm okay with having an ego death. I'm okay with just not think things work out in your favor in the most mysterious way, but I'm honestly okay with starting from experience. Um, there was this quote, and I wanted to leave this off with you guys is, if everything could change in an instant, then is it even real? So if your friends could change in an instant, you could hop onto the next relationship, you could change houses, careers, it wasn't even real. But what is real is death. And death is very something that I was thinking about lately, because it's something that I've learned to embrace. And I used to be really scared that I needed to leave a mark, leave my name, leave a legacy. But now it's, I'm going to live my life like the last day, because then it puts me into perspective of who exactly am I fronting for? Who exactly am I performing for? Because you might not know what happens 2, 3 days out from now, but you know death is certain. That's the only thing that's certain. And so understanding that, letting go my ego, realizing, Conde, you were just scared and you were hurt and you didn't have a guide and you're willing to learn and read all these damn books, okay? And willing to walk in your purpose so that way other people aren't hurt. Like, that is success. And I don't care about the money at the end of the day. I don't care about the relationships or friendships. Like, if I cared so much about the world and I was so busy being like everyone else, trying to keep it all together, who's going to be me? I can only take me, this soul, this spirit. And so, whatever I have to do to overcome, to change my way of thinking, I'm going to do it. And not everyone is going to understand. Heck, the old version of me is like, wow, girl, six failed talking stages, relationships. Like, girl, you would think you got it together. No, this entire time, I didn't want people to think or see that I felt unlovable, but that's what I attracted. And for the longest time, I've always wanted a significant other to fight for me, to want to understand and know me, to never assume the worst, but to hold space. But every single relationship situation I've had, I just was always very masculine, and that is my own projection of, again, protecting the thorn. I was so hell bent of keeping it together, being this perfect face. But if you are what you attract, then guess what I projected? People that validated the thorn, who made me feel the pain that this thorn felt, that is, by the way, unconscious. Okay. And I had to let it go because I just love myself too much to keep something that is going to damage me. And I don't care if they don't understand. I took ownership, I took accountability, and I choose to grow. And the thing is, if your emotions only last 90 seconds, okay, and everybody is a manifestation of a decision that they make, and you decide to love yourself and you realize it's just getting over the emotion, you become very empowered. And people have this tendency to believe that logic is something that is bad, it's something that doesn't serve you, and that we need to be tapped into our hearts. Don't get me wrong, it is important to open your heart, to allow yourself to be a human being, but at the same time, don't let your emotions run you. And me, I carried that thorn for so long. Of course, I'm emotional. Of course, I'll track things out of this emotion, this need to feel right, this need to feel love, this need to feel not alone. And now I'm going life a different route, and where I'm more aware, I'm more loving towards myself. And one other symptom that I wanted to share with you was, I was so quick to be intimate. I was so quick to be like, let's get married, all that, and never be patient, never gave myself for them the space to understand because of that wound. I felt like, oh, if I just rush things, then I wouldn't feel as painful. But I was so unhappy with myself, and that was a projection of the external world. And I was at one point getting into a relationship to heal me, to fix me, but that's very selfish. So I didn't realize that people don't realize trauma makes you very selfish because it's always about you, and never about them. So the moment I decided to love myself and release this trauma and do the inner work, the hardest part is some people will come into your life to encourage you to be brave enough in the decision that you make to walk away from things that don't love you right. And for the ladies, okay, I'm always about woman empowerment. I'm always about you're not a victim, own up to it and fix it. Period. It's not the man's fault, it's your fault. You attracted that. In my culture, right? If a man cannot provide for the woman will stay in her parents' house and her parents will take care of it until the right one comes and takes care of her. You are a Bentley, you are a Ferrari, there's a payment. Any man in this world is willing to make it. But there are some frauds out there that say they have great credit and they can pay it, but they can't. So you're going to go back to the shop. Vice versa for my men out there. Don't you ever let a woman, okay, make you feel like that what you're doing is enough. And I have to say this too is please take accountability. A man's brain develops a lot later in his life than a woman's brain, which is why like even if a woman was to grow and to heal, society has a way of punishing her. Like, oh, just stick with him, you know? But it's like, what am I sticking around for? If my parents can do this and he can't, what am I doing? If my siblings can do this, if God can do this and he can't, what am I doing? Don't validate the belief, sis. And also for the men as well, is you know you deserve better, but what thorns are you holding on to that is stopping you from feeling better, from doing better, from manifesting better? And the thing is, the hardest thing I had to face when I was trying to hold it all together and not suffer was realizing I was the creator of this reality. I begged for flowers. I begged for the man to think of what to do and what to plan. I begged for all of this. And I was tired of feeling like I need to think all the time. Like I just want to be poured into. And you deserve that right. But first you've got to learn to pour into yourself. And some people talk about physical detox, parasite detox, but what about mind detoxing, spirit detoxing, heart detoxing? And as I'm getting, we're getting younger with age, I'm getting more vibrant, more beautiful with age, I realize that certain hookup trends, cultures just don't attract me anymore. Like when you've had a heart rebirth and an ego death, you're not looking for worldly things. You're looking for spiritual things to bring into this world that provides heaven on earth and not apologize for it. And so I'm not a victim. I have done wrong and I choose to do right. And I don't owe anybody any explanation, and you don't either. You're not here to get closure. It's great if they can communicate, but don't wait around for someone else's timeline to match yours. Baby, there's already someone that has a timeline that is perfect and is the belief to do so. And it all goes back to you're suffering, you're holding it all together. And the universal expression of this is what? Distress, anger, resentment, hate, jealousy, bitterness. That's the language your soul is speaking, telling you that, hey, you're suffering and you need to fix this shit ASAP. Because if you don't, you're going to bring children into this world. You're going to have all these things, and it's not going to be okay. And so that is my message to you is let it all go. It hurts, but it's a good hurt because this time it'll actually heal you. And one of the books that helped me was Untethered Soul by I don't know if I have it with me guys. It's by Michael Singerman. Michael Singer. It's called Untethered Soul. I'm sorry, I probably butchered the name wrong. But that helped me realize, oh, like wow, And some souls are blessed to have soulmates, death do us part, right? Some souls are meant to go to multiple different relationships to finally learn their lesson. But regardless, what is meant for you cannot be lost. What is meant and blessed for you, the blessings that God has, cannot be given to anybody else. But the only way you can receive it is to be grateful and realize it is yours. So please do the internal work and take accountability. And please tell yourself the truth of why this even happened. I could sit here and front something that I'm not. I could sit here and say all men are evil and all that. No, baby, it's the choices that I've made with the options that I have that I didn't know any better, and I'm learning. I can't sit here and be like, "Oh, Coach Connor," and pretend everything is okay. It's not, okay? So how I got out from this holding it together and suffering is realizing once I got rid of that wound, what's the medicine that I need to take? And the best way to have medicine isn't just physical exercise, but it's also the books that you read. Because the only reason why the thorns are in that place in the first place is because it entered your mind through beliefs and generational curse. So if you can get to that root thought, and books liberate parts by bringing you wisdom, then you absolutely can heal that wound and remove the thorns. You would want to remove the thorns safely without causing any more wounds. So that means research authors, research people that have gone through that wound and see what they've done and apply into your life. You are the student of the universe. If you need counseling, if you need therapy, please seek help. There's nothing wrong, okay, with wanting help. But there is something wrong with thinking that you know everything, that you don't need to put in the work, because then you are reliving this reality and you're suffering. And if you don't want to admit it, then that's on you. But for me, babe, it's 2026 and I have places to be in my life. So the more I can overcome and conquer, the more I can heal and grow and take ownership, the faster I will reach to my goal. And that is what authenticity is. And that's what Jesus stood for. That's what Jesus stood for, is being his most authentic self. Because if he tried to become someone that he's not, he wouldn't leave the legacy that he did on this earth. Like I always say, be fruitful, go forth, and multiply Christ consciousness. I love you guys so much.